Emma Parker stood at her kitchen counter, wrapping the last Christmas gift in red paper covered with tiny golden stars. The faint scent of cinnamon filled her San Diego condo, warm and bright against the December chill outside. She smiled, imagining her 3 nephews' faces when they opened their presents. Every holiday she tried to make it special for them. Yet deep down she already knew how it would go. Her family would laugh, drink and relax while she ended up in the playroom babysitting. At least the kids are sweet, she murmured to herself, tying a neat silver ribbon around the box. For as long as Emma could remember, she'd been the family babysitter. It wasn't something anyone asked her to do. It was something they decided she would do. At Thanksgiving, her mother had handed her little Ben before she even took off her coat. "You're the best with kids, honey. Take them to the playroom," her mom had said. Emma spent 4 hours playing with toy dinosaurs while everyone else watched football and ate pie. At her cousin's wedding, she'd missed the dinner and dancing entirely because her sister Megan asked her to take the kids outside for a bit. That bit had turned into the entire evening. It had become a pattern. Every birthday, every holiday, every family gathering. Emma was 30 now, with her own condo, a busy job as a content manager and a life she enjoyed. But to her family, she was still the single woman with nothing better to do. They didn't ask, they just assumed. "You're so good with them," her mom always said, as if it were a compliment. But Emma knew better. It wasn't kindness, it was convenience. 2 weeks before Christmas, Emma's phone buzzed with a call from her mother. "Hi, Mom," she said, stirring her coffee. "Sweetheart, we need to talk about Christmas plans," her mom began, her tone oddly cheerful. "Your dad and I are going on a Caribbean cruise. We leave on the 24th. Emma froze. "Oh. So, no family Christmas this year?" "Well, about that," her mother continued. "Megan and Tom are coming too. We got a group deal." Emma blinked. "Wait, then who's watching the kids?" "That's what I'm calling about," her mom said smoothly. "You'll stay at Megan's house with them for the week. We'll be back on New Year's Eve." Emma nearly dropped her mug. "Mom, I can't just drop everything for a week. I have plans with friends, Catalina Island for New Year's." Her mother's voice hardened. "So you're choosing your friends over your family?" "I'm choosing my life over unpaid babysitting," Emma said quietly. "You're selfish," her mother snapped. "We already paid for the tickets. Don't ruin this for everyone. You shouldn't have made plans that depended on me without asking." "Fine," her mother shouted. "If that's how you want it, don't come home for Christmas at all." The call ended. Emma stared at her phone, her hand trembling. For the first time she'd said no, and it felt both terrifying and freeing. Emma sat at her kitchen table, staring at her phone in disbelief. Her heart pounded as she replayed her mother's words in her mind. "Don't come home for Christmas." It didn't sound real. Her parents had always expected her to be available, but this time they'd punished her for saying no. An hour later her phone buzzed again. It was her father. "Emma, your mother is very upset," he said gently. "I know, Dad, but I can't spend a week babysitting. I have my own life." He sighed. "What if you just come for Christmas morning? Open presents with the kids, have breakfast, then leave. No babysitting, I promise." Emma hesitated, torn between relief and distrust. "Just Christmas morning?" she asked. "Yes, sweetheart. A few hours. That's all." His voice sounded calm, convincing. She wanted to believe him. "All right," she said finally. "I'll come on the 24th. But only for a few hours." Her dad sounded pleased. "Perfect. I'll tell your mom. It'll mean a lot to the kids." When the call ended, Emma exhaled slowly. Maybe things would be okay this time. Maybe they'd finally treat her like part of the family instead of free child care. On Christmas Eve, Emma loaded her car with brightly wrapped gifts and a bag of homemade cookies. The drive from San Diego to her parents' house in Los Angeles took just over 2 hours. She hummed along to Christmas songs, trying to shake off her nerves. But when she pulled into the driveway, something felt wrong. No cars. Her parents' silver SUV was gone. Her sister's minivan wasn't there either. The house looked dark and still, no lights, no sounds of laughter. Her heart began to race. Before Emma could knock, the front door creaked open. Little Madison, her 11-year-old niece, stood smiling in her pajamas. "Aunt Emma. You're here," she said cheerfully. "Hey, sweetheart," Emma replied, crouching down. "Where's everyone?" Madison giggled. They left. You're staying with us this week. It's gonna be so fun. Emma froze. They've left. She stepped inside, scanning the quiet house. Jacob and Oliver came running from the living room, waving toys. Can we open presents now, Aunt Emma? Her eyes caught a folded note on the kitchen counter. She set down the gifts and picked it up. It was from her mother. Emma, we knew you'd come because you're responsible and wouldn't leave the children. We had to leave early for our flight. There's food in the fridge and instructions for the week. Thank you for understanding. Love, Mom. Emma's hands trembled. Unbelievable, she whispered. She grabbed her phone and dialed her mother's number. After 3 rings, Karen answered cheerfully. Merry Christmas, honey. I knew you'd come. You lied to me, Emma said, her voice shaking. You said you wouldn't make me babysit. Her mother's tone stayed calm. We didn't lie, sweetheart. We just knew you'd make the right choice. Emma's grip tightened on her phone. The right choice. You left 3 children alone in the house, she said sharply. Her mother sighed. Oh, don't be dramatic. They're fine. You're there now, aren't you? I wasn't supposed to be. Emma shouted. Come back right now. Her mother's voice hardened. Emma, we're already at the airport. The flight leaves in half an hour. The tickets cost thousands of dollars. You can't expect us to waste that because you're being stubborn. You abandoned your grandchildren. Emma snapped. If you're not back in 1 hour, I'm calling the police. The line went silent for a long moment. Then her mother said softly, You wouldn't dare. Try me, Emma replied and hung up. She stood still for a few seconds, heart racing, then turned to the kids. Madison looked worried. Aunt Emma, are we in trouble? No, sweetie, Emma said gently. Everything's okay. Your parents are just coming back. She set a timer on her phone for 60 minutes and tried to breathe. The boys began playing with their action figures again, oblivious to the tension. Madison sat beside her on the couch, reading a book. Every tick of the clock sounded louder than the last. Emma kept glancing at the driveway, waiting for headlights to appear. 50 minutes later, the sound of car tires on gravel broke the silence. Emma jumped up and looked outside. 2 cars, her parents' SUV and her sister's minivan, pulled into the driveway. She opened the door before they could even get out. Her mother stepped out first, her expression thunderous. Are you happy now? You ruined Christmas for everyone. Karen shouted. I ruined it? Emma said, stunned. You tried to trick me into babysitting for a week and left the country. Her father walked up, rubbing his forehead. Let's calm down and talk about this, he said. There's nothing to talk about, Emma snapped. Megan climbed out of the minivan, her face red with anger. You called the police on your own family? I didn't call them, Emma said firmly. I said I would if you didn't come back, and you did. So clearly it worked. Megan's husband Tom crossed his arms. You threatened us. That's blackmail. Emma turned to him, her voice steady. You left your children alone. What did you expect me to do? Bake cookies and pretend it's fine? Behind her, the kids stood in the doorway, watching with wide, confused eyes. Emma's heart broke for them. She crouched down to their level. It's okay, sweethearts. Merry Christmas, she said softly. Your presents are under the tree. Madison's lower lip trembled. You're not staying? Not this time, honey. Emma stood up, grabbed her car keys and walked toward her vehicle. Behind her, voices rose. Her mother's shrill tone cut through the cold air. You're selfish. You don't care about family, her father added. You've always been this way, Emma, always thinking about yourself. Megan's words followed, sharp as glass. You're a terrible sister. Emma opened her car door, climbed in and drove off, leaving their shouting behind. By the time Emma reached the highway, tears had blurred her vision. She wasn't even sure if she was angry, sad, or relieved. Maybe all 3. She turned on the radio for noise, but every Christmas song felt hollow. At home, she sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, and tried to let the quiet soothe her. But the peace didn't last. Her phone buzzed again. A dozen new messages, all from Megan. You're the worst sister in the world. You ruined Christmas for 3 innocent kids. You're dead to me. Emma read the texts, then put her phone face down and whispered, Enough. The next morning, Emma scrolled through Facebook out of habit, and froze. Her mother had posted a long message. Sad Christmas this year. It hurts when someone you love doesn't care about family. The children were so disappointed. Sometimes the younger generation forgets what family means. There were already dozens of comments. So sorry, Karen. Kids today are so selfish. Praying for your family. Emma's jaw tightened. Not one person knew the truth. To everyone online, she was now the selfish daughter who ruined Christmas. She sat there for a moment, shaking with disbelief, then opened a blank post. Her fingers trembled as she typed. My mother's post doesn't tell the whole story. My parents and my sister went on a Caribbean cruise for Christmas and left 3 children home alone. They expected me to stay for a week and watch them without asking. When I refused, they lied, left early, and only came back when I threatened to call the police for child abandonment. That's the truth. She hit post. Then she closed her laptop and exhaled. Let's see what happens, she murmured. Within an hour, her phone started buzzing again, notifications flooding in faster than she could read. Comments poured in. Good for you. That's not family, that's manipulation. You did the right thing. Her post was shared dozens of times, then hundreds. By the next day it had spread across social media. Small blogs started writing about it, then local news picked it up. The headlines made her laugh through the chaos. Woman refuses to babysit, family drama erupts. Christmas babysitting gone wrong. Emma couldn't believe how quickly it all exploded. Among the flood of messages, one stood out. It was from her grandfather, Peter Parker, her mom's father. Emma, your grandmother and I saw everything. We're proud of you for standing your ground. Your mother was wrong. Stay away from them for now. Call us if you need anything. Emma read it twice, tears filling her eyes. Someone in her family finally believed her. She whispered, "Thank you, Grandpa," then smiled faintly for the first time in days. The storm wasn't over, but at least she wasn't standing in it alone anymore. 2 days later, Emma's phone buzzed with another notification, but this time it wasn't from social media. Her mother had posted an apology. It was short, awkward, and clearly forced. I apologize for any misunderstanding about our Christmas plans. My husband, daughter, and I had unfair expectations of Emma. We didn't respect her wishes and we should have. We're sorry. Emma stared at the post, knowing exactly what had happened. Her grandfather had made them write it. Damage control, she muttered. It wasn't remorse. It was embarrassment. That same evening, an email appeared in her inbox from her father. The subject line read, "Moving forward. Emma, while we apologized publicly, your behavior was excessive. Threatening to call the police embarrassed your mother and sister deeply. You've caused lasting damage. For now, it's best if you stay away from family gatherings. We need space from you." Emma read it 3 times, then laughed bitterly. Unbelievable, she whispered. They lied, they abandoned their grandchildren, and somehow she was still the villain. She hit reply and typed, "I did what was necessary to protect 3 children who were left alone. If you want space, you have it." Then she pressed send and shut her laptop firmly. The next day things got worse. Much worse. Emma's mom posted again, this time twisting the story entirely. "My daughter Emma is unstable. She tried to use the police against her own family. We're heartbroken." Then her dad added his own post. "We've done everything to help Emma through her emotional problems. Sadly, she refuses to listen to reason." Her sister joined in too. "My sister has always been desperate for attention. She lied about everything. She's a danger to our family." Emma scrolled through the comments in disbelief. Strangers calling her cruel, dramatic, mentally ill. Felt like being stoned by pixels. She called her grandfather immediately. "They're attacking me online, Grandpa. Everyone's turning against me." Peter's voice was firm. "They've gone too far, Emma. You need to speak to a lawyer." "A lawyer?" she repeated, startled. "Yes," he said. "This is harassment. They're defaming you publicly. I know someone, Jennifer Harris. She's a good family law attorney. I'll send you her number." Emma didn't hesitate. That night she sat at her desk, dialing Jennifer's number with trembling fingers. When the lawyer answered, Emma explained everything from the Christmas party to the Facebook attacks. "I can help you," Jennifer said calmly. "What your family is doing is illegal. I'll send them a cease and desist letter immediately." "Will that stop them?" Emma asked, uncertain. "It should," Jennifer replied. "But if it doesn't, we'll take this to court." Emma exhaled, feeling both terrified and hopeful. The next morning, Jennifer sent official letters to her parents and sister. They demanded that all defamatory posts be deleted immediately. But instead of backing down, her mother doubled down. "Unbelievable," Emma muttered when she saw the new post appear online, this time with proof. Her mother had uploaded scanned pages of Emma's old medical records. Caption read, "For those wondering, Emma saw a psychologist at 12 for severe social issues. She's always had trouble connecting with people. This explains everything." Emma's mouth went dry. "That's private," she whispered. "Those are my medical files." Before she could even process it, her sister joined in. Megan posted pictures of Emma's old teenage diary she'd found in their parents' attic. Screenshots showed awkward love notes and doodles from when Emma was 14. Caption read, "This is who she really is. Obsessed. Unstable. Some things never change." Emma felt sick. She sat on her couch, shaking, tears spilling down her cheeks. "They're destroying me," she whispered. Every comment under those posts was cruel. Mocking, sneering, calling her names she couldn't repeat. They'd turned her childhood memories into public weapons. She called Jennifer again, her voice breaking. "They posted my medical files in my diary." Jennifer's tone hardened. "That's it. We're filing a lawsuit today for defamation, privacy violation, and emotional distress." Emma nodded through tears. "Do whatever you have to." And just like that, the battle officially began. The following months were brutal. The lawsuit dragged on with endless hearings, paperwork, and depositions. Emma learned to save every screenshot, every email, every message as evidence. Meanwhile, her parents and sister painted her as unstable. "They're saying I'm crazy," Emma told Jennifer during one meeting. "Let them," Jennifer replied confidently. "We have proof." "They don't." When the trial finally began, Emma walked into the courtroom wearing a navy blue dress and trembling hands. Her parents sat across the aisle, stone-faced. Her sister avoided eye contact. The defense lawyer tried to twist everything. "My clients were merely expressing concern for their daughter," he said. "This was a family misunderstanding, not defamation." Jennifer stood calmly. "Concern doesn't include posting private medical records and diary pages online to humiliate someone. That's not concern, that's cruelty." Then came the witnesses. Emma's grandparents testified, describing years of emotional neglect. Her grandmother spoke softly but firmly. "They used Emma as free child care her entire life. When she said no once, they punished her." Her grandfather nodded. "She was right to stand up for herself." When Emma took the stand, the courtroom went silent. Her voice trembled at first, but then steadied as she told her story. How her family had manipulated her, abandoned the children, and publicly humiliated her. Jennifer presented the evidence. Screenshots of the posts, the letters, the medical records, even the diary photos. The judge leaned forward, expression grave. When the ruling came, it was firm and final. The defendants are guilty of defamation and invasion of privacy. They are ordered to pay $75,000 in damages and remove all public posts immediately. Emma sat there frozen for a moment, then tears filled her eyes. For the first time in her life, she'd finally won. The courtroom emptied slowly after the verdict, but Emma stayed seated for a while, staring at the polished floor. Her heart was still racing, not from fear but from release. Jennifer patted her shoulder. "You did it," she said softly. "They can't hurt you anymore." Emma nodded, her eyes wet. "Thank you for believing me." Across the room, her mother sobbed quietly while her father stared straight ahead, hollow and stunned. Megan squeezed Tom's hand so tightly her knuckles turned white. For the first time, Emma didn't feel small. She felt free. The story didn't end in the courtroom. News outlets that had once shared gossip now shared justice. Headlines read, "Woman wins defamation case against family over viral Christmas scandal." Social media flooded with messages of support. People wrote about their own experiences, being taken for granted, used by family, or silenced when they stood up for themselves. Emma's inbox overflowed. "You gave me courage to say no," one message said. Another read, "Your story helped me set boundaries with my parents." It was overwhelming but healing. For the first time in her life, Emma felt seen for who she truly was. The victory came at a cost. Her father was quietly pushed into early retirement. His company didn't want the publicity. Her mother had to resign from the school board after parents complained. Friends from church stopped visiting. Their social circle vanished almost overnight. Megan and Tom's Bakery, which had once been a local favorite, lost nearly all its customers. No one wanted to buy pastries from people known for bullying their own family. 6 months later, they shut it down and moved into a small apartment outside Riverside. Emma didn't feel joy in their downfall, only a quiet sadness. One evening she told Jennifer, "I didn't want their lives ruined." Jennifer nodded. "You didn't ruin them, Emma. They did this to themselves." Still, guilt flickered sometimes, especially when she thought about the kids. Madison, Jacob, and Oliver had lost so much because of their parents' choices. Emma refused to let them pay the price. She began video chatting with them every few weeks, helping with homework, listening to their stories. Despite everything, the kids still loved their Aunt Emma. Life slowly began to feel normal again. Emma got promoted to senior content manager at her agency, leading a small team and managing major clients. Her boss congratulated her, saying, "You've got resilience, Emma. That's leadership." She smiled because she finally believed it. She bought a larger condo with an ocean view and spent weekends decorating it with soft colors, plants, and framed photos of her grandparents. Sometimes she'd sit on the balcony at sunset, a cup of tea in hand, whispering, "Peace. At last." Then one evening her phone rang. The name on the screen made her blink. Daniel Carter. It took her a moment to remember. Daniel, the boy she'd written about in her teenage diary. She answered, voice shaky. "Hello. Hey Emma. It's Daniel, from high school. I saw the news article about your case. Then I saw what your sister posted, those diary pages. I'm so sorry." Emma laughed softly. "That was the most humiliating part. I just wanted you to know," Daniel said, "you have nothing to be embarrassed about. Honestly, I had a crush on you too. I was just too shy to say it." They met for coffee that weekend at a cozy cafe by the pier. What was meant to be a quick catch-up turned into a 3-hour conversation filled with laughter and nostalgia. "I can't believe our names ended up in court documents," Emma joked. Daniel grinned. "Well, it got me your number after 16 years. So maybe it was fate." They started seeing each other regularly. Dinners, hikes, quiet evenings watching old movies. Daniel was kind, patient, and had a steady warmth Emma hadn't realized she'd been craving. 8 months later, Daniel took her to a restaurant overlooking the ocean. The night was calm, the water glittering under silver moonlight. After dessert, he reached across the table and took her hand. "Emma," he said softly, "you've been through hell and still found grace. You're brave, strong, and so full of light. I can't imagine my life without you." Then to her surprise, he got down on one knee. "Will you marry me?" The restaurant went quiet, then a few people started clapping. Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Yes," she whispered. 1,000 times yes. The months that followed were filled with gentle joy. Emma planned a small beach wedding with only 50 guests. People who truly loved her. Her grandparents were thrilled. Her grandfather promised to walk her down the aisle, and her grandmother helped pick the flowers. "You deserve happiness," her grandmother said, wiping a tear. "You always have." Emma smiled. "I couldn't have done any of this without you." She sent invitations to a few cousins who had supported her through everything. Her parents and sister, of course, weren't invited. The restraining order still stood. Despite the past, Emma allowed her niece and nephews to attend. Madison had begged her mom to let them go, and eventually Megan relented. "Please take good care of them," Megan had texted, the first civil message in over a year. On the wedding day, Madison carried a small basket of rose petals down the sandy aisle. Jacob held Oliver's hand, both boys dressed in tiny suits. When Emma appeared in her simple ivory gown, her grandmother started crying. Daniel's eyes shimmered as she reached him. "You look beautiful," he whispered. The ceremony was small but full of love. The waves crashed softly behind them as they exchanged vows they'd written themselves. Emma's voice wavered as she said, "You found me when I was broken and helped me believe again. In kindness, in love, in myself." Daniel squeezed her hands. "You taught me what real strength looks like." When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," cheers and applause rose around them. For the first time in years, Emma's laughter came easily, carried away by the wind. After the wedding, life unfolded gently. Emma and Daniel moved into a townhouse near the coast. They spent weekends cooking together, traveling, or hosting small dinners with friends who respected their peace. Her grandparents visited often, bringing homemade pies and advice about marriage. "Never go to bed angry," her grandmother would say, and Daniel would reply, smiling, "I'll remember that." Emma often caught herself thinking how surreal it was, how far she'd come from being the family scapegoat to living a life built on love and respect. A year later, Emma received news that her father's health had declined. Her grandfather called, explaining he'd suffered a mild stroke. "He keeps asking about you," he said gently. Emma sat quietly, unsure what to feel. Part of her wanted to visit, another part couldn't forget the betrayal. In the end, she wrote a letter, honest but compassionate, wishing him healing but not reopening old wounds. "Forgiveness doesn't always mean reunion," she told Daniel that night. He kissed her forehead. "You're doing the right thing," he said. Time softened the sharp edges of her pain. Emma didn't reconcile with her parents or Megan, but she found peace without needing their approval. The kids visited her every summer, filling her home with laughter and beach sand. Madison, now a teenager, once told her, "Aunt Emma, you're the strongest person I know." Emma smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Strength isn't about